This is the Surface Hub 2S. It's, for anybody who doesn't know what it is, it's a multi-touch display that's really geared around collaboration. So it's a really great tool for both in-person collaboration, so doing it with somebody all around it in a conference room, or also remote, because it has integration with Teams. And if for anybody who's still using Skype for Business, it does also do Skype for Business. This particular situation that we got here is, so the Surface is just this. The rest of this, the steel case, work with Microsoft produced this stand, which is a mobile cart. We don't have the battery. This device also comes with a battery that would allow you to unplug, walk around. In retrospect, given how we use it here, I really wish we would have had a battery, because it's nice to not have to shut it down and move it somewhere else. But it's very, for us, that is our use case, is we move it around, and we've actually used it to augment our conference room. So we use it a lot. Right behind you guys, there's that little seating area. We leave it there, and a lot of people use it as an ad hoc tool for meeting and adding another space for us. The inking experience is really good. If anybody's used any of the other Surface products with a touchscreen, it's very similar inking experience in how that works. Yeah, I think I covered everything. So what I'm going to do a little bit right now is, it's going to be a little contrived, but we're going to walk through a scenario. In this particular scenario, I'm just need some whiteboard space. I'm going to whiteboard a couple things, and then we'll bring some other people in. But the real concept or premise behind it is that we're starting a project about service requests. So it's all about, customers call in, make a service request, and we need to get that out to a field technician who's going to do some work, right? And so I actually have first of all, I'm already signed in. Full disclosure, the sign experience with this is not great. It's one of the reasons I have a keyboard here, because there is no way to hide your password when you're typing in. You can do MFA, that's a more recent addition, but even the MFA is difficult to set up, and you end up having to have another app, etc., and some more licensing if you don't have a P2 license for AD. So I'm already signed in to both Whiteboard app and to the Surface, and I'm going to just say, hey, I want to go find this thing that I was working at yesterday. So I can come in here and go and select it, and I already had started to do a little bit of whiteboarding. And in this whiteboarding, the customer, they make a request via call or email. The home office enters the request into the request system. An email gets sent out to the field technician. That's what we want it to happen. That doesn't happen today. Today we just have this entering these requests, and somebody has to let them know. And then I'm going to whiteboard a little bit more on this. So the field technician is going to review what the request is, and either they're going to come down here. I had it doing something else, so I had a bigger tip on my pen. So either they're gonna come back over here and start a little bit of two-way communication with the home office. Right, back and forth, asking questions, whatever that might be, or they're gonna come down and actually go and execute the item. Now, one thing you'll notice is I don't draw boxes very well. So one way that I can help with that would be to come in here, and there's a cool feature here where I can come in and say, I want to, I already have it turned on. I must not have been enough box light. So, I'm so bad. There we go. So it automatically turns it into a box. So here, this would be for example, this is performing the activity, whatever that might be. Let me get back to %. So this would be address the issue, and then once they're done, it sends an email back to the customer That one worked a little better. Letting them know, hey, the issue's been resolved, that kind of thing. So I can go and whiteboard this thing, and now that I whiteboarded, I'm like, okay, I want to review this with someone and try to get some information or kind of talk with them about that. So I can do a couple different things. I can, and we're not gonna, hopefully we don't have any mic problems, but basically, well, because I'm in a meeting, I don't think I can call them, but I can do this. So I'm gonna invite Eric, who hopefully has his iPad ready to go. And usually, because we created a meeting so that I could do it, I can't actually call him individually with my Teams app. But I could also call him and say, hey, Eric, let's talk about this. But I shared the whiteboard session so that he can actually not only see what I'm doing or see the whiteboard session, but he can also interact with it. So this is if you haven't used the whiteboard app, it's available on a tablet, on PC, all the different devices, and it can go two ways. So I can make changes, but then he can make some changes too. I don't know, Eric, if you want to just do something so they can see that it joined up. Yep, so that's him writing over there. So we could talk back and forth about whatever this issue is, and then maybe I've explained it to him. I've gone through this and said, hey, this is my plan, or this is what I think we should do. And I say, hey, we need to really talk about this, the field tech. We've never built a software or a piece of software for our field techs. They've always used out-of-the-box stuff. There's never really been any development around that. What does that person look like? And so I can come down and say, hey, let's do a persona builder. And so what I did was I clicked this, which gives you a bunch of different options. One of the options is template. And the templates, they've got a lot of different options here. Brainstorming, retrospectives, which are really meant for common practices, common things that people do collaboratively together. And so the one I'm gonna choose is the persona builder. And so what I get when I do a persona builder is I get like a name, I can put in some about, but then you've got these tags that I can actually go fill out and do stuff with. And I can add an additional note, I can fill out the note, which if I scroll down, ta-da, I have stuff already built out. So this particular setup already has some things. Notice most of it is not done with the pen. You can do it with the pen. There's nothing wrong with doing the pen. It just can be a little bit challenging to keep up with as you're doing stuff. But you can also, when you tap on it, you can type in down here with the keyboard as well if you want. But again, Eric can be involved with this well, so we could be adding goals, and you can see like demographic stuff, like they have laptops, they use a company car, like stuff that's unique about the particular type of role that we're interacting with. Goals, like what are they trying to get out of the app? And we can just kind of go through this ourselves and kind of talk through it and say, hey, this is what we're gonna do. So now let's say we did all of this in prep for a working session that we're gonna do with a larger group of people, right? So now what I can do is say, okay, which is the thing I was doing before, and say, hey, we now need to join this meeting. So now I'm gonna meet now, and this now has joined us to the meeting. Eric's now also in the meeting. I shared this already with him, but I can also share it with the meeting. So now everyone in that meeting will have access to the whiteboard, so they can work with it. They also could, as part of Teams, they can see that as well, but they don't get the full experience that you do using the standard whiteboard app. And then the other thing I was going to show was, so one of the other big things that you want to try to remember to do is share your screen. When you join a meeting, that doesn't mean you shared what you're doing on the screen. You're sharing video. Right? Yeah, you're just sharing with the video, right? If you want to show what's here, when you do this, now just like if you're sharing your screen, everyone can see what you're doing. They aren't getting the full experience of the whiteboard, but they'll be able to see what's going on, see what you're doing. One way input. So let's say we kind of go through this. I talk through everybody and say, hey, this is what we talked about as regards to whiteboarding up top. Which let me see if I can delete that. I'll put this up. So maybe we've gone through all of this. Did somebody have a question?
Where's that save?
So this is in the Whiteboard app. So the Whiteboard app has its own storage. So that's a good question. Right here, if I go back, you'll notice this is here. If I were to, this is my one that I started just a minute ago. Because I signed in, they're all my Whiteboard apps. And if I did create a new whiteboard, that would again be a brand new whiteboard that I would be experiencing. But this is all in your own Whiteboard experience. Does that make sense?
I see you uncovered once that Microsoft is stuffing those into a folder in your OneDrive.
Correct.
That makes more sense.
That is the place where they store it, right? You can also take those things and store them other places, which we'll get to in a minute. But that's what, it's its own thing, right? So the other experience that is kind of interesting here is, let's say I was in that meeting, we're going through something and we decide, hey, laptops aren't gonna work, right? As part of one of our known habits, they don't often use the laptop because it's hard to set up and get Wi-Fi, they don't have LTE, like it's kind of not a great solution for them. We need tablets. So what tablets, what does it cost for a tablet? What tablets should we do, right? So you can come in here, open up Edge, browse around for iPad, and maybe we're going through and looking for, I'm crazy, I only want to buy it from the Apple Store, so let's go. And let's say we've browsed around and we've decided that this is the one that we're going to buy, right? One of the nice features, this is a feature of Edge. It's available in the PC version or not, but the experience is really great as it relates to the whiteboard and doing this kind of interaction. I can click this button up here, which allows me to ink directly onto the web page, and I can, circle the price or comment about do we need LTE, right? And so then once I'm done and I've marked this up, I can actually take a screen clipping of this. And then in here, paste it. And so now this screen clipping is actually an integral part of my whiteboard. The same thing can be said for other things. So let's say I wanted to include a PDF or a Word document, a PowerPoint presentation into the whiteboarding experience. So it's one large whiteboarding experience about what we're talking about, how we're dealing with this. You can do all of that. And then once I'm done, so you might think, great, this is awesome, it's in my thing, how do other people get it? Number one, I shared it with them so they can find it that way. But I can also come up here and actually post it to a team. So this experience allows you to post it to a team, and then that team has that content, which stores that same whiteboarding experience into Teams. So I think that was my entire contrived experience. I don't think there was anything else that I wanted to show there. I guess first of all, did you guys have any other questions about? So before we do that, I got a couple more things, reminder stuff. So whiteboard experience in Teams, it's really, really great for people who are in your organization. People who aren't in your organization, not so great. Guest users can't see what's going on a whiteboard unless you share it with them. So again, you can come up here, get a, and you can do a share link. Actually, I lost it. Yeah, create a sharing link, and you can send that link out to them, and then they could then get access to the whiteboard as well. But then they would get it here, they wouldn't get it right in Teams.
Would that just mean I can't collaborate with them?
You also can't see it unless you're sharing your desktop. Yep, they have to share your desktop, and then they'll see what you have.
The guests will never be able to write.
They'll never be able to write unless you give them that link and they open their own whiteboard.
Just in case I have more questions.
I was just going
Yeah.
in the spirit of the meetup, add something to it.
Yeah.
Promote a lot, which is internally, you go to whiteboard.microsoft.com, log in, and all of your whiteboards are in a browser.
Yep.
So for non-Windows users, it's a great way to see this stuff, contribute.
Oh, so the pen. This is an expensive pen, and it's a fragile pen.
How much?
We had ours, I think it's 100 and 200 bucks, 200 bucks, something like that. But it's got magnet stuff on the side, which is great, wonderful. Notice the concrete, right? If somebody brushes across this, which happened the first week that we had it, and it drops like this, the pen becomes, actually the first time, I'll give them credit, the first time it worked, but the second time somebody did it, didn't work anymore. So, but they were great, they just gave us a new one, like we said, hey, we're having this problem, they sent us a new one, which was awesome, but probably one of the biggest problems is if you notice, this isn't magnetic, it's only magnetic in specific spots. So what I would recommend is either A, there's magnets up top, that's a great place to store it because then you're not gonna so often hit it. B, what we do, slide it right into there, right? It's no one's gonna drop it there. So that's one thing. We talked about this. Oh, there's a new version of this coming out this year that's going to be 85 inches, they say, which would be more for the conference room scenario, like fixed location, which they already, there is already people who are using the first Surface Hub, that is the kind of experience that's made for. But we've had a lot of luck with this mobile version ourselves.
The next one supports the tail.
Actually, it doesn't anymore. The announcement that they leaked 2 days ago was that they are delaying or canceling. So the next one was supposed to be the next full version was supposed to be the X2, which is supposed to be this same thing that can tilt and you can put two of them next to each other and they know about each other and all this fancy stuff. It's unclear what that next one's going to be right now. I guess they're having lots of problems with the OS because it's supposed to be on this is all still the Surface OS. The next one's supposed to be the XOS or something, the all-in wonderful do everything OS, and it's delayed and blah, blah. So I don't know. All I know is that for sure they're going to do the bigger 85 version. Whether or not it tilts or not, I'm not 100% clear.
What's that list at?
What's that?
What's that list at?
It's $10,000 for I think it was 9 something for it, without the I think it was that without this, and then it was like I think we would have needed to spend I think another $2,000 to get the battery.
How is that durable? Like we can put students on that? Or,
On this?
Yeah. Or,
So this part of it is absolutely durable. We haven't had any problems with it whatsoever. This is like it's meant to be like it's the intent of it is to make it really easy to or I should say easy to make it so that it's not going to just break on you. But the cart's really durable. We haven't had any problems with that. The pen would be the big question.
Fun fact, the card is manufactured on Broadmoor in 52nd.
Local.
Yeah, we've deployed clever touch boards in this classroom, and they're about 3,500. Do a lot of the same functionality, just not the Teams integration, but they're incredibly durable.
Yeah.
Which is nice.
Well, an interesting thing on the education side is that, and which we haven't had a chance to talk about, but I know Microsoft, their big education push now is to use Teams for all the classroom stuff. I don't know anything about it, but it's one of the things I wanted to ask whether or not you guys have had anybody come in and do any demos or talk to you at all about that. No?
Google's
It's
got a
interesting.
pretty good lead in that.
I know. Well, especially around here. Any other questions about this? Obviously, yeah. No.
Another cool point of this is we have lots of Windows certificates, obviously, but it supports Miracast with touchback. So if you have Windows 10 and a stylus laptop, you can sort of project your own desktop over there. And then
Yep. It's got inputs. You can do HDMI input into it. The screen is, I don't know if you've noticed, but the screen is super anti-glare, which is really, really nice. We don't really have too much of a problem with anti-glare stuff. Yeah. One other thing, like I just logged out, that's probably one of the important things is you want to try to log out as much as you can, because once you log out, everything that I just did that's not in the cloud is all gone. It's wiped clean, starts a brand new session. But if you leave it here, everything stays kind of where it was. So they're still logged in as me, and they're still doing their own thing. Okay, do you have something?
You notice developer mode on there.
Oh, yeah.
We wrote an app for it, for open house sign in.
And you can't do that. You can't sideload things on there unless you have developer mode. So that's why ours is in developer mode right now.
Yeah, so basic map, had a map of the geographic location, people could sign their name, enter to win a giveaway, that was given away. It would dump the information in there and it would load up into the SharePoint list. And so, experiment.
Yep. Thanks, everybody.